That's your range.
Cool. What if I step back a little bit? You still good?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm probably going to stand here. Whew. Am I too close?
Yeah. That's better.
Here. Does it look dark in the back or something?
Yeah, it does.
We need the other light.
It looks dark in that corner. Thank you for joining.
Okay. We gotta find some music for this show to get me ready.
You're live right now.
Oh, I'm live? Dang, come on. Oh my gosh. All right, let's go to work. Tonight, this is Monday Night Sales Mastery. And what we're going to talk about, I do this each Monday night from 9 until 9:30. My name is Brian McNeill, and my company is called Very Personal Sales Coaching. And for more than 25 years now, I have helped men and women all across this country to sell better. I have two great books on how to sell. One is called The Shortcut, the fastest route to selling your services better than you ever have before. And the other one's called Asking for the Money, how anyone can close more sales, even you. Now, the reason why I have these books out is twofold. One is because in the past 25 years, I've read more than 700 books on how to sell. And my book, The Shortcut, is the book that I wish that I had read in the beginning. The reason why I put out this information is because I can count, and I know I have more than 200 written out recommendations of the effectiveness of my services. I know that I've made thousands of sales in my adult life, and I also know that I've missed thousands of them. Now, when you read more than 700 books on how to sell, and you do thousands of presentations over a period of time, and you make some and miss some, and you do thousands of workshops over the periods of time, there was one time in my life where I was doing sales workshops on average 25 times a month, 20 to 25 times a month. That means every day, Monday through Friday, plus some days I'm giving how to sell workshops in the morning and the evening. And I did that for a large portion of my adult life. So after all of this, you develop some philosophies. And I want to talk tonight about the value or the role of rejection in sales. Now, a lot of people, when they launch out into business, they are fearful of people turning them down. They don't like how it feels to get rejected. And because they don't like how it feels to get rejected, they limit the number of times where they're even in a position to be rejected. Some people, because they don't like the feeling of being turned down or rejected, they ask for business less and less and less until they don't ask for business at all. Now, they're in business, but they never specifically ask for business, which is a very, very low probability of being successful in sales. You must give people a chance to say yes to you. I want to teach you some things about how to deal with the rejection so that you're never, ever worried about it again, and so that you welcome the rejection. That's the purpose of this workshop. And I'm going to get it done in the next 27 minutes. That's what I'm going to do. First thing I want to do is tell you a story about young man Brian McNeill. When Brian McNeill was, what?
Try to be more still. The camera keeps on refocusing, trying to keep.
Okay, good. Refocused. I'll be more still. Thank you, baby. So this means be still.
Please.
Got it. All right. Now, I do feel my juices flowing, though. All right. So when I was stationed at Fort Bragg, a 19, 20, 21-year-old Brian McNeill, I went to the clubs every weekend. I mean, Thursday night, I was at La Trapp's at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Friday night, I was at the Utima Club, which they called the Stab and Jab. And Saturday night, I probably went to the Utima Club again or another club. And Sunday night, we always went roller skating. Every week, Monday through Friday, that's what young Brian McNeill was doing. Now, at the time, I was in the Army and we were working out all the time. I was an airborne soldier. I jumped out of planes for a living, so I was really, really fit because we were working out all the time. And I played basketball for the headquarters company at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, the 82nd Airborne. That was the basketball team I was on. So I was practicing basketball a lot. And when I wasn't practicing basketball with the team, because I loved the sport, I was playing basketball like every day after work. So a lot of time I was spent in physical activity, young guy, running, jumping all the time. And I was also into girls. I wanted a woman. Now at the time, truth be told, I wasn't looking for love. I was looking for a lady for the night. You know, I wasn't looking for love. I was looking to get laid. And what I learned from going to the club so often was, when you approach a girl to ask her to dance or to buy her a drink, there were times when they would say things like, "No, not right now," or "No, I don't really like that song," or "Maybe later." They would stall the process. And when you go to clubs that often, what I learned was I started to achieve my success at scoring the woman typically after the third rejection. So probably around the fourth girl I approached to dance, they would always say yes. Now this is unscientific, but it's what young Brian noticed. About the fourth girl I asked always said yes, or the fifth definitely said yes. So I learned that I had to go through some numbers to get this result that I wanted. I wanted to take the pretty girl out on the dance floor and get my dance on. That's what I wanted to do. So I developed a philosophy. Now this is a young man. Now this is many years ago for me. This is again 20-year-old Brian. I'm 49 now. So 20-year-old Brian, 30 years ago Brian, he learned that, and he even learned to embrace it. He got to this thing where he even bragged about it. He would tell people the first 3 rejections of the night don't even count. I mean, my night doesn't even start until I get rejected at least 3 times. So what you do is, I would go out there and I would go and ask the superstar, the most beautiful girl in the club, right away, okay, up front. I'd be the first one to try to get her on the dance floor. And the most beautiful girl in the club never danced with the first guy I asked her. So I had to get that number out of the way. And it meant nothing to me. It meant nothing to me. I knew that 1 down, 2 to go. So then I would ask someone else. Okay, 2 down, 1 to go. And then because my numbers had taught me that around the 4th, 5th time I always achieved success, that third rejection was met with enthusiasm because I knew that the next woman I asked, she was going to say yes. I knew I had to go through those 3 rejections to get to my yes. So each time I went to the club, I wanted to get my 3 rejections out of the way, and then I get my woman, is what happened. Taught me something. Okay, now each one of those women along the way, they all helped, because I could not have gotten to my 4th attempt. I couldn't have gotten to my 4th attempt until I had went through my 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. You don't get the chance to skip your first 4 attempts, your first 3 attempts. You have to go through those numbers. So what I learned was to go through those first 3 numbers fast to get to my success. That's what it taught me. So fast forward, when I turned 23, I was 23 years old when I entered the world of professional selling. Now they told me a crazy stat. They told me about 10% of everybody that you present to was going to say yes. 10%. That means if I did 10 presentations, on average, 1 would buy. And they were so bad, they didn't even qualify. They didn't even put anything on it, like, depending upon how effective you are. They just basically, if you show up and you tell your story to 10 prospects and you give them all a price, you know, that was the point. You had to at least quote them how much your service cost. I was selling home improvement at the time. So once you gave them a quote, then it counted as a full presentation. So if I went in there and they didn't let me get to the point where I gave them a number, well, it's going to be $8,000. And that's what the average cost was, $8,000. The average commission was $1,500 is what it was. $1,500 was the average commission that I was going to earn on an $8,000 sale. If the sale was 12 grand, I might earn $2,000. So let's go with that number because that's easy. A $12,000 sale, $2,000 is what I earned. And 10% of the people bought from us. So that means that I had to be willing to do 10 presentations to make $2,000. 10 presentations. So that means if I divide it out, it's easy. $2,000 divided by 10, that meant each presentation was worth $200 to me. Even if they said no, that brought me closer to my $2,000 commission. So those 9 no's earned me the right to get $2,000 on my 10th presentation. So what it taught me was, so let's say I had to do 10 presentations to get $2,000, but if I wanted $4,000 that month, that meant I had to be willing to do 20 presentations without improving my skills, just going through the numbers. Just doing the numbers, all I had to do was do more presentations. It was funny. More presentations given, more money I earned. And I got to the place where everybody was thinking, that young kid, Brian McNeill, at age 24, 25, and this is when I was really developing. I was really just starting to study. He's a great salesperson. But what I was willing to present, is what it was. I didn't even have the skills yet, but I was willing to go on the sales calls and do the presentations. Every presentation counted. One of the books I was reading says, you get paid for every presentation. I get paid for every presentation? Yes, you get paid real, tangible money for every presentation you give. And that's how it taught me. So I was so green and growing, I was willing to adopt that philosophy out of hand without checking it, without questioning it. This excellent sales trainer said I earn money every time I do a presentation. I was willing to believe that. So started doing more and more presentations, which led to more and more money. And the ones that said no, I didn't even count them anymore. The no's did not matter. The only thing that mattered to me was the yeses. It was like I did my full presentation, do the best I could, and if they didn't buy it, they no longer counted in my mind. Again, this is me doing my formative years, because I wasn't looking for people not to buy. I was looking for people that would buy from me. This right there, what I just said, is very, very poignant. There are people in the world today that sell intangible services, financial services, consulting services, coaching services, workshop services, speaking services, intangible services. And some of them, because I'm a sales coach, they will tell me things like, I haven't made a sale. The last 10 people I talked to didn't say yes to me. They didn't hire me. I've offered this 10 times, and I've shown it to 10 people, and no one said yes. So I need help on learning how to sell. The fact that they know that stat tells me as a sales coach is that they are keeping negative stats. They are collecting negative stats that don't help them. That don't help them. I want to teach these people how it doesn't count. Now, a lot of these people that tell me 10 people in a row didn't say yes to me, it takes me very little time to determine that what they did was they told the person, the potential client, what they did. They told them, well, I'm a coach and I help women that want to go from a job into their own business. I help women transition from employed to entrepreneur.
You got a question on the floor.
Okay.
Regina Lee says, is it possible to miss a yes if I'm so focused on a no?
Yes, it is. And that's a very important point. A lot of people miss the yes because not only because they're focused on the no, and that's a psyche thing, but also when they get focused on what it is that they think they're supposed to do instead of why they're supposed to do it. Okay? That's the way you miss it more. When you get focused and caught up, well, I'm supposed to do this, this, and this to get sales. That's the danger of cookie cutter sales approaches. Because people get focused on what they're supposed to do instead of why they're supposed to do it. That's where that problem comes in. So back to what I was saying. A lot of times when people tell me 10 people in a row haven't said yes to them, it takes me very little time to determine that out of the 10 people that said no, they only quoted their rates once. If you don't tell them what your rates is, that doesn't count as a presentation. That counts as you didn't. I call those incompletes. They're not finished yet. You haven't done your full job. But let me address Regina's question here. There's a thing that happens when you're doing a presentation. You get into what's called, I'm going to change the color here. This here is called the decision line. The decision line. So when you meet someone, you start talking about what you're doing. You start here, and you're learning from them, and you're giving them information. Okay. Sometimes salespeople stop giving information too soon, and they never get to the decision line in the client's mind. They didn't give enough information so that the client could say yes. Sometimes the salesperson gets close, but they never give quite enough information. They're not quite there yet. They didn't share enough, or they didn't give enough value to reach the decision line. Sometimes inexperienced people, when they're offering their services, they will talk themselves into a decision, and they keep talking out of the decision. They keep going too far. They talk themselves into sales and out of sales. They talk themselves in and out of sales because they're talking too much. Typically, talking too much is a fear issue. The way I teach people how to make sure that you're in the right decision line is because the way you check it. The way you start in the beginning. All right, what we getting ready to do? You're checking for understanding somewhere in the middle of your presentation. That's one of the key minutes of your presentation. And then once you see what you agreed upon where we're starting, you check for understanding here, and then you make an assessment. I find out somewhere in the middle of my presentation, have you gotten any value so far? And I want you to start asking your people that too. Have you gotten any value so far? Or what has meant something to you so far? Or have you learned anything? Or have you gotten any good? Was your time worth it so far? Absolutely, I'm getting great value. Okay, that tells me I'm close. And if they give me the answer to that question and it's not real or tangible, and if it's just surface stuff, I know I need to give more value. So once I think they're close, once I've learned some stuff, I talk into the decision line, and while we're in here is when I give them a chance to say yes or no. That's what I do. I hope this makes sense to somebody. Talking them into, is there another question, or is that it?
That actually makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay. You're talking to yourself. You reach a place called the decision line in sales. Now, I told you some stuff about me tracking, unscientifically tracking how many women told me no. Unscientifically tracking, they told me 10% of them. Now, there's another thing that you have to be careful of when it comes to accepting rejection. Very, very often people think that they're not good at sales, or they don't know how to close sales. And very, very often it's not whether they're good or bad or not. It's a thing called, they have a problem called, it's called call reluctance. That's the scientific term for it. The call reluctance. That means they're afraid to either make the call, or afraid to tell what they do, or afraid to offer their services at all. They're afraid to make calls. Reluctance. They're reluctant to make calls. Now here's the thing. Everybody has a degree in that. Everyone has a degree of afraid of offering their services for fear of being rejected. We all have a degree of it. But it's a proportional degree too. To the proportion that you have conquered this, to the greater percentage that you have conquered this, the more money you earn. Like if you have The more afraid you are to offer your services, the less money you earn. The less afraid you are to offer your services, the more money you earn. It's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a ratio. Okay. People that have overcome call reluctance earn like 40 times more than people who haven't. Okay, that's just crazy numbers just by getting over that. Now, I want to teach you guys, there's a couple things you got to know to make yourself bulletproof, to make yourself not afraid of that. One is the word, and I know the word has been overplayed and it's corny, but the word is self-esteem. And the challenge people have when they're in business is they tie their self-esteem to how many people says yes to them. They attach it together. And what I want to help people do, maybe you can help me to articulate this, Lisa, is that your value is not dependent upon whether they buy from you or not. You're valuable before you leave your home. You're valuable before you do any of your work. I want to teach people how, and maybe I'll do that with the help of Lisa, who's an empowerment coach. She's a phenomenal empowerment coach. Help people come up with a language that teaches them that their self-value is not attached to their sales result. Does that make sense, sweetheart?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's not attached at all. Has nothing to do with it. I have rhinos in the house, like a few different rhinos scattered throughout the house. The front of my car says Rhino Man. But rhinoceros, I have a rhinoceros philosophy. And one of the rhinoceros philosophies is that rhinos have thick skins. On some places of a rhinoceros's body, the skin is almost 2 inches thick. Skin is 2 inches thick on some places, like a plating. Because rhinos have thick skins, when they're going through the jungle and the little bushes and the trees and the brush, it hardly even bothers them because their skin is so thick, they barely even feel that stuff. When you develop a rhino type thickness, you don't take it personally when people don't buy from you. It doesn't matter as much. It's just a part of the process. Each no leads to your yes. Each no leads to your yes. But you cannot get your yeses until you have your requisite number of no's. You all will have your own numbers that justify this for you. It doesn't matter now unless you completely offer it to them. Now, if you don't know how to offer it to them, just give me a call. I'll teach you how. My phone number is 919-345-4893. Just give me a call and I will teach you how to offer your services. And I'll do it for free. I'll do it for free because this is an opportunity for me to give. That's what I'm doing here. Let's see. Oh, by the way, success and failures in business. There are only 2 failures. There's only 2. Only 2 failures. The first failure is not trying. Not trying. Now, this is hard doctrine for most people. Well, I'm in business, I'm trying. Well, if you're not doing everything you can do to, like when I ask people, they say they ask me if they're thinking they're in a sales slump. And a lot of times, Lisa seen me do this. They say, yeah, I'm in a sales slump. Well, I say, well, did you make any prospecting calls? Well, no. Did you tell your story about what you do to anyone? No. Did you do this? Or just basic stuff. It's not that they're in a slump, it's that they're not doing the activity required to have success. So you're not in a slump, you're just not working the right way. If I set out as a target to push this wall back 2 inches, and I bear into it, and I try real hard, and I do all these kind of things, push, but the wall never moves. No matter how tired I get, no work was done. No work was done at all. Because I didn't accomplish that at all. No matter how tired I get. Now, if I wanted to move this wall, I would have to seek out people who can help me to move this wall. I would have to seek out a contractor who said, can I make this room bigger? Or something like that. 2 failures. Not trying is 1. And that means trying all the ways. If you don't know how to do it, read something, get a coach, watch a video, learn. The second failure is quitting. Quitting. Is it 2 T's or 1?
2.
Spelling doesn't count. Quitting. Now here's one of the few blanket statements I make. You always win if you stay in the game. You always... Are you signaling me? Okay. Is that 4 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Are you kidding me? You always win if you stay in the game. You never lose if you stay in the game until. Here's the other thing you need to know. You will learn more from your failures than from your successes. We learn more from our failures than our successes. Think of failure. Failure is our teacher. Failure is our teacher because each time that the young lady in the nightclub told me, no, not right now, it taught Brother Brian a different approach. It gave me some toughness about the matter. It kept me to be gracious when that happened. That's the other thing too. When someone doesn't buy from you, you must, I'm in a positive direction to word this. You must learn to miss the sale with grace and graciousness. Think about the time in your life when you have turned someone down for business, but they still were nice to you. They still edified you, and they still thanked you for the time that you were willing to give them so they could showcase what they had. They ended it not with a sale, but with gratitude that you were willing to allow them to present. We remember these niceties. I promise you, selling, and this is the other thing, I wish I had more time to tell you this too. I'm going to put this to, I need to erase this. You must learn this to be successful. And this is a character, you can't get around this. Selling is not an event. Selling is not an event. It's a process. So when you present and they don't buy from you, the game is not over. The way sales are made today is we follow up into sales. We follow up into wins. The way I made sales in the 90s, I would just close them. I would just keep closing, trying to hammer. But that doesn't work today in 2017. I gave that counsel early this morning. If you're trying to sell today using the methodology that you learned 20 years ago or 10 years ago even, you are losing ground and you are becoming less and less effective every day. Today, you must sell to clients today the way they buy today. Don't try to sell to them the way they bought 20 years ago. The sales are not made that way. We have 1 minute left to go, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap. These are called Monday Night Sales Masteries. I enjoy doing them. I enjoy giving value here. They're all recorded, so they're on my page. I do upload them to YouTube, but I'm going to keep just giving value. I have a private group, a Facebook group. So after this right here, we transition into the private group where we deep dive into it. And I charge for the private group too, but it's very, very nominal. I charge $25 a month. $25 a month for my private group of Sales Mastery. It's called Sales Mastery. You won't be able to get into it unless you're involved with me. If you want to get into that, $25. It's $25 a month, and what you're going to get is 4 deep dive. Like I'll do what I just did here is the tickler, but the deep dive happens after this, and plus I put a lot of videos in this private group throughout the week. That's the group where you can pose questions, and either the group will answer or I'll answer it myself. But that's the least expensive way that you can hire me as a sales coach. That's not directly one-on-one, but it's in a private group. So $25 a month, that's basically $6.25 a week. For $6.25 a week, you can get very, very valuable sales coaching. So I'm going to call that a night. Thank you again. This has been Monday Night Sales Mastery. If you're interested in the private group, reach out to me. Other than that, I'll see you next Monday.